Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. Today's session will be an Ask the Experts about safety, responsibility, and student support. So if y'all just want to introduce yourself in the chat, you could put your name, where you're joining us from, and one thing you're excited for your student to experience at Temple. Again, as everyone's joining us, if y'all just want to put your name, where you're joining us from, and one thing you're excited for your student to experience at Temple, put it right in the chat. Oh, Los Angeles, good morning. Lancaster, not too far. Puerto Rico, wow. Welcome. New Jersey, that's where I'm from. Welcome. As more folks are joining us, if you just want to put your name, or you're joining us from, and one thing you're excited for your student to experience here at Temple, put it right in the chat. One's from Maine. Love Maine. Great vacation spot. Taiwan. Wow. Welcome. See some more folks trickling in. So if y'all just want to put your name, where you're joining us from, and one thing you're excited for your student to experience at Temple, put it right in the chat. Okay, so we're gonna get started. Hello, and welcome to the Parent and Family Orientation, Safety, Responsibility, and Student Support webinar. My name is Olivia Demler, and I am the graduate intern here at the Office of New Student and Family Programs. We are so glad that you decided to join us today. We would love to know more about everyone who is with us today, so please introduce yourself in the chat. Include your name and where you're from so we know who is joining us. Just a heads up, we have enabled closed captions for this session. To view the captions, please select Captions, then select Show Captions. This session will be recorded and the slides and links will be shared after today on the Parent and Family Orientation Hub. Today's panelists are representatives from Public Safety, Student Conduct and Community Standards, and the CARE team. These offices directly support Temple University students by addressing their safety and security, conduct, and support, ensuring they have an understanding of Temple's resources that are offered throughout their academic journey. Following their presentations, we will have a Q&A session for the remainder of our time together. We will get started with our presentations and Q&A in a moment, but there are a few announcements to share first. You have likely noticed your audio and video are muted. You can see and hear us, but we can't see and hear you. Please submit your questions by using the Q&A feature. Click the Q&A button to open the window, type your question in the text field. If you want your question to be anonymous, check the Send Anonymously checkbox. Click Send. Your question will not be viewable to the rest of the participants until it has been answered. We will share helpful links related to the questions that have been asked in the chat, so make sure to check the chat throughout the panel. We'll do our very best to answer as many questions as we can today. If we're unable to answer all of the questions, we'll provide contact information at the end for you to follow up with the appropriate campus partner. For your specific question, if you have questions related to academics, student involvement, or health and well-being, do not worry, as we will provide their date sessions at the end of our webinar. If you have questions about student finances and university housing and residential life or meal plans, you can go to the Family Experience portal to see the webinar recording. Okay, we're ready for our panelists to begin their presentations. Public safety is first.
Greetings, everybody. I hope you're having a great day. My name is Donna Gray, and it is my pleasure to welcome you on behalf of our department. One of the things that I want to emphasize is some of the safety features that we have to help students to navigate and stay safe. So one of those features would be our walking escort program. We have individuals that are on bikes. We have Contract Security, Allied Universal, and so they provide security or walking escorts within our patrol boundary. Later on, I'm going to show you the patrol boundary so that you get a sense of what area we're talking about. We also are really excited that we have an app. It's called the TU Safe app. And the wonderful thing about that app is that it puts safety right at students' fingertips. So there's a lot of things that they can do. They can sign up for a walking escort if they want. They can also contact our police immediately. They can contact the local police. They can get information about campus maps, and they can actually see our shuttle service, which is Flight. I like to say owls take flight. So Flight is our evening shuttle service, and it makes more than 50 stops within the patrol boundary. So really important for students to sort of know those resources and be able to utilize them. In today's society, it's really important for all of us to remain vigilant and know what's going on. So the university has our system of communicating with students, which is TU Alerts. So students are automatically registered for TU Alerts, and so that's a good way for them to know whatever's going on. The way that TU Alerts work is that someone needs to let us know that there's a situation, then officers are dispatched to that location. They will confirm what's going on, and then they will send a notification to everyone. Parents can receive alerts, although I'm going to caution you. We do send a lot of alerts because we have a responsibility to let individuals know what's going on campus as well as in the neighboring area. So if parents are interested in TU Alerts, they can sign up for that by texting TU Alerts to 67283. So that's just a good way to be aware. One of the things that I have sort of said to parents is that you may not want to know about every alert, but in some regards, it's helpful to be able to say to students, where were you when that alert was sent out? What were you doing? What was your safety plan? Because quite honestly, safety is something that we want people to focus on wherever they are and whenever it is. But we also have a realization that our students are not always walking around sort of saying, how safe am I right now? So safety is a perception. We want them to be aware and we want them to know appropriate things to take to keep themselves safe. On our website, we have some personal safety tips. And we do think it's important for students to know, sort of along the lines of even how to cross Broad Street successfully, because sometimes students are so engaged in their phones, and I don't know where my phone is right now. Oh, here it is. Because student behavior is often having that phone up in front of their face as they're walking around. Not really a good strategy for walking around anywhere, and particularly not a good strategy for crossing streets or whatever. We encourage students to have some sense of personal boundaries so that as people are walking towards them, just sort of have that awareness. And if we were in person, we talk about the importance of some social distancing as well as giving that nod. If I see you, I want you to know that I'm paying attention. We also have a variety of programs that we offer, in terms of situational awareness and self-defense and things like that once students are here so that they have a sense of how to maintain safety. In terms of entering our building, students are required to swipe in. They'll have their mobile access card. And so, as you probably know, in terms of the residence hall, we monitor who's coming in. And even though you might sort of say, hey, I'm the parent, I should be able to come in anytime. I'm paying those bills. You will not be able to come in until your student comes and signs you in, because we do take that very, very seriously. In terms of students, being off campus, we have programs to sort of help them to adjust to that. One of those programs is our welcome wagon. And so we actually go to various locations and engage with students to sort of see what their experience is like. So we know that the beginning of the semester can be a little bit overwhelming for students, and we just want to let them know that we are here 24 hours a day, 365 days a year to welcome them and support them in whatever they might need. One of the things I do want to highlight about the TU Safe app is that one of the things that we added in terms of a tab this year was health and well-being, because we recognize that college is very stressful and that sometimes students need to know how to quickly get and access those services. We can't do safety alone. We have a great team. We have our police officers, we have our security officers, and we have our dispatchers, but we are working collaboratively at Temple University to keep everyone safe. I would encourage you to take a look at our annual security report just to have a sense of everything that we are doing in terms of policy and procedures. And feel free to contact us, 215-204-1234. Thank you. You can go ahead. So one thing I will point out in terms of our patrol area, if you look, you can see these yellow shields. Those are our police locations. We have 5 within the campus border so that students are very aware of where they can go for assistance. We also have our Code Blue emergency phones. We have 68 of those on the campus, and our patrol boundary is north at Susquehanna. And the south border is going to be Jefferson or Girard to encompass Temple buildings. We extend on the west side from 18th Street to 9th Street, which also incorporates the Temple Regional Rail because it is Destination Temple. Yay, go Owls. You can go to the next.
Hello, everyone. My name is Amanda Jeanette. I am the Assistant Director of Investigations in the Office of Student Conduct and Community Standards at Temple. Um, in general, our office is tasked with carrying out the Student Code of Conduct for the university. So, a couple of important things there that all students are required to know and follow the code. The code can be found on our Office of Student Conduct and Community Standards website. And this code has been created to represent the values and standards all students are expected to meet and abide by. And it applies both on and off campus. So a lot of times we get a lot of questions about, well, if I'm, living in an off-campus apartment versus living in, university housing and residence life. Is there a difference in me needing to meet the standards of the code? But the code applies to all students on and off campus. And really, our overall goals as an office are safety, education, accountability, and resource referral. So, on our website, there is an opportunity if a student or really anyone has a concern about a student when it comes to conduct and the student code, they can fill out a referral and that will be sent to our office and we will review that report and kind of determine best next steps. And so we get conduct reports from all different avenues. Like I said, whether that's students themselves sending in concerns they might have, faculty, staff, Temple University police, community members. And so really those fall into a few different categories. Personal misconduct, which are alcohol and drug violations, physical altercations, damage to property, things like that. Academic dishonesty, we also oversee as well, which are things like cheating and plagiarism. And then, of course, as the Assistant Director of Investigations, our office also conducts investigations to gather additional information about a report we may have gotten that we really need to gather more information about to determine what exactly occurred and is this something that might have been the violation of the code. And then mediations as well, certainly when it comes to students that are living together off campus, we know that conflicts can arise. And so how can we kind of best support students through any conflict they might be experiencing? But then also that education piece. And so our process is meant to be educational and not an adversarial process. While sometimes at the end of a conduct process, there may be sanctions associated with that, whether it be community service, writing a reflection paper, disciplinary probation. We really try to create an environment that is educational when a student is interacting with our office, to have conversations around behavior and how they might approach a situation differently moving forward and what they might do differently if they were faced with similar circumstances again. Lastly, something that we get asked a lot is, how our process mirrors a legal process. And so I always do love to emphasize that our process is not a legal process. We do not enforce laws, we enforce the student conduct code. And we always share that TUPD and public safety are absolutely great resources if students are looking for a legal route or they have questions about any legal process that they might be going through. In terms of the Good Neighbor Initiative, this is a really fantastic initiative that we implement here at Temple. And like it says, it's really to educate students on what it means to live in and contribute to a neighborhood. And so we recognize that not every college campus is the same. And it specifically regarding Temple, Temple's really situated within the greater Philadelphia community. And so a lot of times that means that students are interacting with Philadelphia community members and maybe living right next to them in the same neighborhood. And so it's really empowering students to learn how to be a positive and contributing neighbor. A lot of the programs within the Good Neighbor Initiative support off-campus move out and in process. Again, educating students on how to be a good neighbor, but sharing city resources with students as well. So not only Temple resources, because students are going to be able to use resources out in the larger community. Um, Other parts of that good neighbor initiative have to do with excessive noise, making sure that you are responsible for keeping your space clean outside in terms of trash. Those are kind of the two top good neighbor pieces that we see most often when it comes to the initiative. But how can you help when it comes to the Good Neighbor Initiative? So, talking to your students about what you love and don't love about members of your community. That can help them learn, what can make a good neighbor. Establishing expectations for their behavior when they visit or live off campus, super important. And then encouraging them to get involved in the community. That can be really great because it can kind of broaden their experiences outside of campus. And then also helping your students register to vote.
Hello, everyone. My name is Kenzie Weller. I am one of our case managers with the care team here at Temple. So, the primary function of the care team is ultimately to connect Temple students who are facing challenges to university resources and supports. So, we are a large university. We have resources for so many things. So, when we hear that students may be having issues, we really help them navigate that or determine a few things that might be helpful for their situation. So I am one of two case managers. We are a small but mighty team. We receive referrals for students, try to get a sense of the presenting issue. Um, and we meet to determine the best course of action. Folks who submit referrals can be anyone. We receive a lot of referrals from parents and families, friends, faculty, advisors. It truly can be anyone who has a concern for a student. Students can also ask to be referred to the care team or refer themselves. It is truly anyone who is going through a difficult situation and they may need support. Absolutely can be referred over to the care team. So once my colleague and I receive these referrals, we sort of piece out what are like some really big issues that we're seeing or that our students are experiencing. So a lot of the times that looks like hospitalizations or situations where students may be out of school for an extended period of time. We sort of take those higher level or higher intensity cases and we meet once a week with our broader care team. So on the care team, we have representatives from our Tuttleman Counseling Services, Disability Resources Services, TUPD. We got a representative from Student Conduct, really all over the board. And we sort of discuss what sort of items or supports can really help this student. Again, my other case manager and I, we take all of that information and report it back to the student to again really help them try to parse out what we can do or what might help their situation. I think that's all I have. I would just say if there is any issue outside of the classroom, a referral to the care team is appropriate. We may not be able to help with somebody who's getting a bad grade, but if somebody is getting a bad grade due to their mental health, we can definitely, try to assist that student. So if there are any concerns, we absolutely accept those referrals. Further on in the Get in Touch slide, there's going to be more information on how you can make a referral, as well as our contact information. The best way to get in touch with us is by going on our website and making that referral, but also via email. We are located within the Dean of Students office. So that 7188 number, we can be reached there as well.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, everyone. It is time for our panelists to answer your burning questions. So please post any questions you have in the Q&A feature at the bottom of your screen where you see a question mark. Okay, question for Donna. Does Temple's Police Department work closely with the Philadelphia Police Department?
We absolutely do work closely with the Philadelphia Police Department. As a matter of fact, we have a specialized detail that works on Fridays and Saturdays just to provide that additional support. We work with all local police, entities to make sure that everybody is safe. So thank you for that question.
Great, thank you. If my student is going through a student conduct process, how can I receive information about the case?
That's a great question. So we just ask that a student have their parent FERPA waived, and that can basically be done on TU Portal. And we can look in there to see, if a parent calls us and they say, I would like to talk to you about my student's conduct case, we will go in, make sure that you are FERPA waived. If you're not, we will reach out to your student and ask that they go ahead if they would like to and make you FERPA waived so that we can discuss the case with you. Another piece of that is that students are allowed to have an advisor and or person of support present throughout a conduct process. And so that advisor and or person of support can be in any meetings that the student has with any staff in our office. But to kind of tie that back in with us not being a legal process, because we are not a legal process, an advisor and or person of support cannot speak directly to the staff member in the conduct office or on their behalf, on the student's behalf throughout the meeting. So they don't act like a lawyer in representing a student or anything like that. They really are just that support system for a student. And so that's another way that a parent may decide to participate in a student's conduct process is as an advisor or a person of support.
Great, thank you, Amanda. And just a reminder, if you have any questions, please throw them in the Q&A feature in Zoom. Question for Kenzie. Who can make a care team referral?
Anyone, if there is a concern for a Temple student, truly anyone could make a referral. Parents, family, advisors, faculty, staff members, concerned community members, truly anyone can make a referral. We just ask that while making a referral, there is a first and last name and a TU ID if possible. We've got a lot of students and we want to make sure that we're reaching out to the right one.
A question for Donna. Can a student make an anonymous call to the police if they see something they think is wrong?
Absolutely. There's several ways to make an anonymous report. You can call 215-204-6493. That's our confidential line. You can also go on our website and complete the submit a tip. So yes, we recognize that there's lots of things that people may want to report, but may not directly want to be involved in. One of the things that we do ask of parents, because we would encourage students to report things right away, is feel free to reach out to us as well. Sometimes you may hear something going on with the student that's a concern. Let us know and we'll be sure to follow up.
Okay, great, thank you. And another question for Donna. Can you further explain the safety features Temple has to keep students safe?
Okay, so I would say that one of those features is just the idea that their access is on their phones. So that makes it very convenient for them, as opposed to when students were walking around with physical cards and losing cards. So they have that. I would just, I don't love a lot of things, but I gotta say, honestly, and I would say this if we were in person, I absolutely love the TU Safe feature. I have used it myself. I wanted to know what it was like if I wanted to have a virtual walk with a friend. And I think that that is just a great mechanism for using technology to combine with safety and ease for students. A lot of
Mhm.
students have downloaded it and sort of report that it is great. So I think that that's just one of those things. We also have an extensive camera system. So yeah, I think that that sort of adds to our safety toolbox. And one of the things that I would definitely say from my own experience is the Code Blue emergency phones, because even if you don't have your phone, you can just press that button and immediately be connected with a dispatcher. Unfortunately, I saw a student get bumped by a car, push the button, and the dispatcher let me know that emergency personnel were already en route. So it, you know, when something happens, time matters, and it's just that quick. So thank you for that question.
Hi. This question may go to multiple panelists, but how are sexual assault cases managed?
So that is a great question. So when we're talking about student conduct, the Office of Student Conduct and Community Standards is separate from the Title IX office. And so uh, the Title IX office handles sexual cases of sexual assault, um, falling under certain criteria based on the federal Title IX regulations. Otherwise, if it does not meet Title IX criteria, then it gets sent over to our office to look into it under our regular code of conduct that is not applicable to the federal Title IX regulations. So those are the main two offices, but I know Donna, as kind of a victim advocate, has some pieces of information that are probably helpful as well.
I would say that it depends on whether the student wants to go through the criminal prosecution. One of the things that we would do as a police department is make sure that they are aware of resources and work with the Philadelphia Special Victims Unit to figure out, you know, one, making sure they get that medical care that they need, and secondly, knowing what resources are available should they choose to prosecute in terms of the case. What I do is I am in contact with individuals and guide them through those processes, because as you can imagine, it can be very traumatic, and we know that individuals need support. They may also be connected with Kenzie because they may, you know, sort of experience some situations in terms of their academic work. And I can let her talk about, you know, how the care team supports students as well through.
Yes, absolutely. It is not uncommon for us to receive reports of sexual assault to our office. And when we do, we speak with the student, make sure that they are connected with our Title IX office. Again, so they can really understand what their choices are in that situation. We do a lot of support on the academic side. Students may feel like they need to take some time away from classes, in which case we are working with the student and their faculty to ask for some grace for their time out of class. That kind of touches on another point of what the care team does is if a student experiences an emergency such as a sexual assault, an emergency hospitalization, we can reach out to faculty members to inform them of the student's absence. We can't, you know, mandate any time away from class. Classes may have attendance policies, but again, we ask for grace, and I would say 9 times out of 10, faculty members are really willing to work with the student because, you know, emergencies happen.
Hey, great. Thank you, everyone. Um, just a question for Kenzie. Is individual counseling available to students on a regular basis or only if they are in need of urgent or emergency services?
Yeah, that's a great question. I will share my limited knowledge of the way that Tuttleman Counseling works, but we, of course, work closely with their office. Students can schedule individual sessions, or they can walk in for emergency sessions. So they really offer that sort of crisis response, walk-in availability, as well as they have an after-hours crisis line. If it's still not an emergency, they can absolutely schedule one-on-one counseling sessions or group sessions with Tuttleman. The length of time they're able to work with a Tuttleman counselor really depends on the resources that the student has at their disposal. If they have really good health insurance, I know that, Tuttleman wants to take an equity-based approach. So they'll maybe provide some external referrals if those resources are available. Students who may not have access to insurance can maybe expect to work with Tuttleman for a little longer. So that part really depends and is sort of at the discretion of the, Tuttleman office.
Okay, great. Thank you, Kenzie. For Donna, do you suggest students travel together on public transportation, and is it safe?
I absolutely suggest that students travel on public transportation, and there's a number of ways to get into the city. So some students may opt to use the regional rail, and so that train station is right on our campus at 9th and Berks. Some students may opt to use the subway. We have 2 subway stops, one at Broad and Susquehanna, and one at Broad and Cecil B. Moore. The one thing that I would sort of say about both is that SEPTA Police also works with our department, so if there are any issues, they are quick to report those to us, and they are quick to offer immediate assistance to the student and provide that information so that we can do follow-up. But knock wood, we have few incidents. One of the things that I would just sort of say in terms of student behavior is for them to be mindful of being so focused on their phone that they're not paying attention, and also having their earbuds in and sort of not being aware of, anything that might happen on the subway system. So that awareness is critical, but yes, very safe, highly encouraged.
Okay, great. Thank you, Donna. And just a follow-up to that, can students get an escort, or is there TU transportation students can utilize to get to the regional rail station?
So 2 ways to do that. One would be the shuttle service, which is available from 6 p.m. to 2 a.m. The other would be the walking escort. But what you will find when you come to the Temple campus is that there are so many people that are using the regional rail to get around and get into the city that it is, easy access and a very safe route.
Another question for Donna. Is there any comprehensive data about common issues concerning campus safety or campus security?
Sorry. I would say that one of the common things that happens in terms of campus safety, it's a lot of people in a limited span of physical space. So there may be more incidents that are reported just by virtue of the density of it. What I would say in terms of comprehensive issues is just that we really need to emphasize people being aware of their environment. I don't think that we have tremendous issues, but I think what tends to happen is just that students have a tendency to take themselves out of the idea of being their awareness. And so that's why what we've tried to do is to offer a lot of programming and a lot of information regarding just those things. We are also, by educating students about the resources that we have, I would say that we've made a tremendous difference because less and less students have fewer and fewer issues. So that education and community outreach is really critical to creating a safer campus.
Okay, thank you. A question for Amanda. Can you explain Temple's medical amnesty policy?
Yeah, that's a great question. So the medical amnesty policy, which should be available to read through on our website, basically has to do with if a student is having a medical emergency due to consumption of alcohol or drugs, and they need assistance because of that medical emergency. And so, what we and other campuses across the country who have similar policies have noticed is that sometimes students will be afraid to call on their own behalf, or if someone else is with them, will be afraid to call on their friend's behalf if they are having a medical emergency due to alcohol or drugs. So basically, the medical amnesty policy grants amnesty to both the student who's under the influence and to the student seeking the medical assistance for that student that's under the influence. And that is really to kind of quell fears about quote unquote getting in trouble, so that we can get students the medical help that they need as quickly as possible. Now, that does not mean that, and we always want to make this very clear, that doesn't mean that the students may not still interact with our office in some way. There still may be an educational component that we have them complete, whether it's learning more about alcohol and drug consumption through the Wellness Resource Center, or writing a reflective paper or something of that nature. But it is it is a wholly and fully educational process when it is a medical amnesty situation versus some of those other punitive pieces that might be in place in a more traditional alcohol or drug scenario, such as community service or a fine, etc.
Great, thank you. Kenzie, are care team staff available 24 hours, 7 days a week?
Another great question. We are not available 24/7 as the case management staff. We are available when the university is open 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. We keep traditional, office hours. So that is not to say emergency services are not available. They absolutely are, like Donna mentioned previously. If there truly is an emergency, emergency services are available. And likewise, I had mentioned previously, if there is a mental health emergency, Tuttleman Counseling Services does offer an after hours crisis line that is also available. So there is help. But as far as the case management staff goes, we do keep those traditional office hours Monday through Friday.
Okay, thank you, Kenzie. Donna, just a scenario for you. My son is known for cramming the night before and taking advantage of going to the library in the evening to study. Is this a safe idea at Temple in the evening?
Yes, it is. And I would encourage your son to study because that's why they're here. What he's probably going to find is that there are other people that are in the library. Libraries, more than we realize, are a social hub. Because oftentimes there are people that you know that are there or that travel. What I would suggest is if it gets to be really late, because our library can be open until really late, is to utilize a walking escort to get back safely or walk with friends or use the TU Safe app. I know if you haven't been on campus and you haven't downloaded that app, you will be amazed at how bright the campus is for walking around, even, after hours, and just how reassuring using that app can be.
Another question for Donna. Is the front door of the residence hall covered 24/7? And who monitors who is coming in the halls and are they made to sign in?
Okay. So yes, we have a security in all of the residence halls, and that is 24/7 whenever students or the academic session is in operation. Yeah, there's going to be a security officer there. Some buildings may have two because of the volume of students and guests, but yes. Um, if there are buildings, because I did see, that there may be open access to certain buildings, the buildings that will have open access would be our student center. And so that might seem like it's open, but it's really because it also provides the bank and it provides food options. But in those buildings, we have staff that are roving the buildings to ensure safety as well.
Hey, thank you, Donna. A question for Amanda. When would someone fill out a student conduct report?
Great question. Um, so we really encourage filling out a student conduct report anytime that there is a concern about a student's behavior. So, Kenzie's talked a lot about care referrals, and so we aren't necessarily talking about concerns in the classroom or mental health concerns or things like that. However, if those do come our way, we have a close partnership with the care team. So, vice versa, sometimes conduct issues get sent along to the care team and they pass them back to us. So it eventually gets routed in the right direction. But um, we're talking about things that could be violations of the student code of conduct. And so that's why it's really important for students to be well versed in what that code looks like. Certainly don't need to be experts, as we in the office are those experts in implementing that code. But if a student is experiencing something, caused by another student that they feel might be a violation of the code, or if they witnessed something that they feel might be a violation of the code, that is a great opportunity to submit a conduct report on our website. Again, we check those reports Monday through Friday. 8:30 to 5, and we review those, determine next steps, whether that be that we need to initiate an investigation, that we need to connect with Temple Police as they might have some additional information that could be helpful for us, whatever those next steps might be. We look into every single report that we receive. You will see on the reporting form that similar to the care team, we are not a 24/7 service. And so if it is an emergency, we do absolutely emphasize reaching out to campus police because we are not an emergency service. And that's just extremely important. We encourage students, if you're having an emergency, go ahead, reach out to the police first. And hopefully, once they address that and get things in a safe kind of uh, situation, then you can go ahead and reach out to us if you feel as though a conduct violation may have occurred.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, Amanda. Kenzie, can referrals to the care team be anonymous?
We do request that folks put their name and contact information when filling out a referral. Have people put in fake names and fake contact information? Absolutely. But we really do like to have the information on the referring party because we may have questions about the situation. We may need to know more information that only the referrer is aware of. So that's really why we haven't implemented an anonymous option, because again, access to information is only going to inform our response and make sure that the students are getting exactly what they need.
Okay, thank you, Kenzie. We were talking about this earlier, but you were talking about sexual assault, and this can go to each panelist or whoever knows the answer. Someone was wondering how common sexual assault or physical assault is on campus each school year.
I can touch on physical assaults only because uh, sexual assaults, again, we don't have necessarily a representative here from the Title IX office, but a lot of times those end up falling under their office versus ours. I will say physical assaults this past academic year, I've seen quite a few of, because most of the time, um, when there's a physical assault, that ends up needing to go to an investigation to gather additional information around kind of the circumstances and what exactly occurred. And so, as our assistant director of investigations, I conduct all the investigations for the Office of Student Conduct. And so those this past academic year did make up quite a good number of the investigations that I conducted. Um, Typically, it isn't random. It usually has to do with, roommate situations, whether that's on campus, like in the residence halls, or off campus. And so I think that um, it's a great reminder, and part of what I think all of our offices are working toward is, what does healthy conflict management look like, especially with those people that you're seeing constantly, whether it's your classmates or your roommates, so that it doesn't get to a point where it escalates to a physical nature.
I would also say, excuse me, in terms of sexual assaults that occur on campus, there can be a correlation between alcohol or substance use and those situations. And so we really believe that, although I can't give you a specific number, that the more we do in terms of educating individuals about staying safe and avoiding certain situations, not that anyone is ever to blame for a sexual assault, but getting some immediate assistance. The university has strict policies and offers workshops and information regarding prevention. One of the things that I would sort of say in terms of the medical amnesty program that's important is just that idea that owls are looking out for other owls and helping to avoid situations not to escalate to an assault level.
Okay, great. Thank you, Donna and Amanda. Um, this is a question for Amanda. Will parents be notified if their student violates the student code of conduct?
So, for the most part, no. The one caveat to that is, if a student has an alcohol or a drug violation that they are found responsible for and they are under the age of 21, we do send a notification to that parent or guardian. Otherwise, if they are found responsible for, I'm trying to think of another example, if they're found responsible for cheating on an exam, or um, for damaging property or something of that nature, we do not notify. And again, because of FERPA, for FERPA reasons, we do not notify a student's parents of that responsible finding.
Hey, thank you, Amanda. Question for Donna. If a student lives outside of the patrol zone, can they still call public safety?
Um, that's kind of a tough question, only in that it's kind of like planting your begonias in your neighbor's yard. More than likely, they're going to be in touch with Philadelphia police, but we would certainly help with whatever follow-up there is. So one situation that I would sort of accent is sometimes students need to go to court and I will accompany them to court. And it doesn't matter whether it's happened on our campus or beyond our campus. If they need that support, they're going to get that support. So if you're not on within our patrol boundary, call 911 and follow up with us. That's what I tend to say to people so that you get that immediate response.
Hey, thank you, Donna. And last question for all of the panelists. What is one piece of advice for Temple parents or students as they begin their Temple journeys?
I love the question, and some of the parents have answered well in terms of the advice that I would give, which is to be open to the experience. Oftentimes people hear things in the news and it may have them shy away from the Temple experience, but the Temple experience is really great. So my advice is to be open, to be connected, to not, hesitate to reach out to any of us at the institution because we are here to help students to be successful and thrive.
My best advice is to take advantage of all that Temple, offers. But to also think through, as students thinking through responsible decision making and sometimes just taking a pause as you are navigating your student experience. But the most important and first and foremost is to really immerse yourself in what Temple can offer you and just overall what your student experience can look like.
And I'm going to echo what Amanda Jeanette said, that we do have so much to offer on campus, activities and resources. It's just a matter of students utilizing them. So there are so many things available that can help if a student is, experiencing a challenging situation. There is absolutely help out there. So I would just ask as parents, like, you are our allies. Make sure that they are aware of everything that's available, and um, again, that letting them know that help is out there.
For sure. As a recent Temple grad, I would also say, um, to get involved, have them join clubs and organizations. They'll see all the clubs and organizations during weeks of welcome. Um, just have them get involved. You never know who could be your friend. And have them get to know their classmates. I met my best friends through my classes I was in. So yeah, really get involved and make those connections. Okay, so unfortunately, that is all the time we have today. Thank you so much to our panelists for joining us. You will see their contact information on the screen. They're all more than willing to answer any follow-up questions. In addition, we'll post the recording to this session along with the slide deck and helpful links in the Orientation Hub in the Parent and Family Experience portal shortly for your reference. And of course, our virtual parent and family orientation is continuing. So please visit the hub to register for any of the listed upcoming webinars and to see recordings of this webinar and previous ones. Lastly, we will be sending you a survey shortly to ask how today's session has helped you as you prepare for your students to attend Temple in the fall. Please take a few minutes to let us know your thoughts. Thank you again to our panelists and to you all for joining us. Have a wonderful rest of your day.